Okay, let's get started. Week 6. Thanks for coming, everybody, to the sauna known as room 282. Any questions at all from last week's visit to the VA? I think everybody had a good time there, using the wheelchairs, the hand bikes and stuff, and visiting with the veteran. Did anybody have any questions about what you saw or rode or anything like that? Good time though? New experience for everybody? Great. So here's the answer to the hours of sleep question from last time. Average 6.63, standard deviation 1.05, which is a little bit less than you guys should have, but I'm not going to be the one to tell you to get more sleep. Field trip to the VA, you got your hand-powered, foot-powered bikes, and the veteran with quadriplegia, with lots of communication equipment around him. This dot up here is a reflective dot that's picked up by a sensor to monitor his head position so he can control the mouse on that big screen he had. So that was the biggest screen I ever saw as a communication device. I want to let you know about this upcoming talk on Friday in Gates, addressing situationally induced impairments and disabilities in mobile human-computer interaction. So this is an open seminar, so if you want to attend, it's at 11:30 in Gates. I also want to tell you that next quarter there'll be a new course in computer science called CS 377, which is a course on accessibility that's being taught by a colleague there for the first time. So but I think it's just for CS students, so I'll send you some information on that if you're interested. So we got all the usual forms and evaluations. I just want to tell new community members that use of laptops and smartphones aren't allowed until the break, and then once we start the lecture, everybody needs to discontinue their use of those devices. Team presentations are on Thursday, and here's what you need to do. You need to develop your PowerPoint presentation on Google Drive or whatever, and by noon on Thursday send me the public link to your presentation, or send me the PowerPoint slides themselves. What I will do is I'll collect them all, put them on my laptop, so we don't have to fumble with changing laptops, which will basically give you more time for your presentation. Okay? So please do that. Do not embed videos in your slides. Instead, upload them to YouTube. Take the link and put it on the slide. It works much better that way. So please do that. The presentations are 7 minutes, which is a tough thing to do, and to best make that happen, you need to practice it. You just can't come up here for the first time and assume it's going to be 7 minutes. It's going to be way over, and and that's not good. So you need to practice it with your teammates. You might find other classmates or other people in your dorm or whatever to listen and give you some feedback. The more you practice, the better it will be. I've seen this time and time again. It's very easy to tell when a team hasn't practiced their presentation, so please do that. You need to tell the entire story from beginning to end, but you need to be very concise. So in order to do that, you don't have to mention every single detail. And when you can, show us a picture of something rather than trying to explain it in words. A picture goes a long way. And in some cases, a short video will work as well. So you're replacing the words and the time that it takes to speak them with a picture or a video. And for the for the photos, you may want to point out certain pieces of it to make people aware of it, because this is a laser pointer, but it doesn't work on a monitor. So instead, put a pointer to the part of the photo that you want to let people to highlight for people. So another thing, instead of showing your prototype, this is my prototype, it's too small to see, take a picture of it, put it on a slide. That way it's big and all over the room. So those are the top things I want to tell you about for a good presentation. So in addition to practicing your presentation, practice where to stand when you're talking. Every person on the team should be present for a part of it. So you have to know, where to stand. You may want to stand up front when you're presenting, and you may want to move back here when you're not presenting. And you should know about this presenter. And basically all you need to know is that the right arrow advances the slides. Okay? And that's about it for that. If you have any questions between now and Thursday, please let me know. And next week, the team reports are due. Now, I know that a lot of you may be going skiing this weekend. I'm not going to ask who's going skiing, but instead of having the reports due on Tuesday, as I normally would, we're going to have them due on Thursday to give you ski time, okay? All right. The presentation order is determined by this form up there. There may be still a few slots open, but I should tell you that the order will be inverted for the final presentation. So if you sign up first today for the final presentation, you'll be 9th, okay? So that averages out for everybody, right? Okay. Okay. So upcoming class sessions, midterm presentations Thursday. Next Tuesday at this time, we're going to have Peter Axelson here. He's a Stanford grad. And he's done a lot of work in the area of adaptive sporting equipment and access. And it'll be a great talk because he's been doing it for 10 years now. And then a week from Thursday, we're going to have another field trip to the Magical Bridge Playground, which is in Palo Alto, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So you'll see see the effort that they've done to make a playground both accessible and inclusive for all kids, even college students, but not so much for older adults. I can attest to that from last year. Okay, so what we're going to do is use the same carpool partners that we had for last week, and I'll pass around the list in case you need to make some changes. Okay, a week from Thursday, 2 weeks from today, we'll have Steve Collins, and he's a researcher and does exoskeleton research here at Stanford. So he'll be giving you a research perspective on exoskeletons. And then 2 weeks from Thursday, we're going to have in this very space the Assistive Technology Fair. So I think we're going to have about 20 vendors. We're going to change the whole room around, have a table for each vendor, some tables and people outside, and wheelchairs to show you. It'll be like a trade show atmosphere, and you'll be going around and talking to all the vendors and getting to know the products or services that they're promoting. So that ought to be a lot of fun. Okay, so again, you need to continue your efforts on your projects by meeting with your suggester, fabricating stuff, getting feedback, writing your report. Every week you should be doing stuff, and including meeting with me or sending me a project update so I know that you're doing something. Again, if I don't hear from you, in my mind, you haven't done anything, and that's bad news. Okay? So I want to show a little short video today, which was really neat. Adam Savage from Mythbusters is talking about the 10 Commandments of making. And it's particularly relevant for you at this point. What? Skip ad. Just the sound. Just 10 minutes.
Hello, Raker Bear. Can you guys hear me? Ah, that's fabulous. Look at all these people. Wow. How does it feel to
I'm in the crowd someplace.
in size and scope? Yeah, man. I've been to every one of these since its inception, and it gets bigger every year and more awesome every year. Look, most years I've come with somewhat of a prepared talk and then kind of winged it. This year I was thinking, what could I talk about? And I thought, well, what about lists? Humans have loved lists since Moses. So I thought, maybe 10 Commandments of Making. I wanted to talk about 10 Commandments of Making. And so I wrote them down. I came up with 9, unfortunately. Things never quite turn out the way that you planned. But in the end, on my way down, I came up with the 10. So, finally, I have a list of 10 solid things that I would have loved someone to tell me when I first started burning and cutting myself in order to have the things that I needed to have. The first rule of making, I will say, is make something. Anything. Cook, weld, carve, sculpt. Anything that you need to make, it's important that you make it. Humans do 2 things that make us unique from all other animals. We use tools and we tell stories. And when you make something, you're doing both at once. You're telling a story about your desire, you're telling a story about something that you want, you're telling a story about something that you see needs to be made, and you are using your tools to improve yourself and improve the world around you. When you make new things, you are joining in the most ancient dialogue that humans have ever had. So, commandment the first, make something, make anything. It may feel like it's totally insignificant, but it's vital that you do it. Number 2, make something occasionally that actually improves your life. From a toilet paper holder that actually works to a toaster that's slightly improved.
Or improve somebody else's life.
As opposed to something that's useless, I can't even tell you how good it feels. Even like a handle on a drawer. You make a handle on a drawer and you're using it every single day. The patina of your use that it gets feels really good. Again, and it's another story. Okay, here's one. There's a million different skills being displayed out here. And I'm sure a lot of you are walking around and thinking, I wish I could do that. I wish I had that skill. Several of these commandments have to do with skills. The thing is that a lot of times we stop ourselves from moving forward with a project because we don't know how to weld or we don't know carpentry. And my advice is, start now. Start right now to do the thing that you want to do. There is no time like right now. And do it with the things in front of you. If you want to weld a car frame but you don't have a welder or a car or a frame, go ahead and mock it up out of oak tag and cardboard. There's a beautiful sculptor here in the Bay Area who made himself a 747 out of manila file folders. It's one of the loveliest things I've ever seen. 4. 4, yes. I can't learn any skills unless I have a project to learn with. I need a goal. I need something. Well, it's like I need something. I need the thing that I'm trying to attain. I can't learn to weld just by someone showing me that it should sound like frying eggs and you set the dials like this. I need to end up with Wolverine claws or a sword or a pair of stilts or something like that. Always try to find a project that will get you interested in the thing that you want to build. Almost halfway there. 5. Ask. Ask questions. Ask for help. Ask for advice. Ask for feedback. You'll find when you make stuff that it actually kind of makes you vulnerable to ask for feedback because it totally does. But if you find someone you trust, ask for advice. And when you find someone you trust, ask for feedback. I'll tell you, it's very funny. Among adults, we rarely actually turn to each other and say, what do you think of the work that I'm doing? And it's because that places us in a very vulnerable spot. But again, if you can find a teacher or a mentor or someone whose opinion you really respect, ask asking them very specifically about how they think you're doing can give you incredible insight. I've done it a few times in my life, and every single time I've gotten a tremendous perspective on what I was actually doing. Share. Now there's a lot of talk about the sharing economy. I'm sure Etsy is totally present here at Maker Faire. And we trade stuff, and we trade knowledge. That is really, really important. There is nothing that makes me angrier when somebody does something beautiful and you ask how it's done and they say it's a secret. No secrets. What are you protecting? Nobody's going to take your technique and then steal your idea. Nobody has a monopoly on being you. And if you think that your technique is what makes you interesting, you're being ridiculous. So share your techniques, because when you do, someone's going to come back to you with a better way of doing it, and you're going to learn something from them. 7, please recognize that discouragement and failure are part of every single Make project. Not something that happens every now and then. In every single project, you will find yourself discouraged and you will fail at some point. If you recognize that, boy, these balcony railings are terrifying. If you recognize that you're going to fail, at least when it's about to happen, when you are getting discouraged because you hit a snag and you don't have the part and it's Sunday night and it's 4 a.m., at least then you know that that's part of what's going to happen, and that the next morning it may be a little harder to get started, but if you know that mechanism, you can actually keep going. I personally, and I've said this many times before, whenever I'm making something, about 70% of the way in, I actually think I have no idea what I'm doing and I hate what I'm building. And Fellini even said that he knows that one of his films is almost finished when he totally despises it. And frankly, that 70, 80, 90% mark, the closer you get to the end, the more scared I get. Because it turns out that I hate finishing things. I'd much rather keep working on them and keep getting that endorphin rush of the eBay research and finding that part that I didn't know existed. Actually getting all the way to the end is a little bit difficult. But if you recognize what your mechanism is, where the places you'll get frustrated, they are your friends. You can welcome them in. This is also part of mindfulness and meditation. Understand that those thoughts are going to happen and embrace them. Look, they still are going to suck. I'm not going to lie to you. It sucks to fail. It hurts to cut yourself. But it's going to happen in every single project. 8, measure carefully. Measure carefully. So, for the younger builders in the audience, when you have two things that fit tightly together, that's called a close tolerance. When you have two things that fit loosely together, that is a loose tolerance. Knowing the prioritization, knowing when to use a tight tolerance and a loose tolerance is pretty much everything that separates the expert from the novice. I have messed up so many projects. Even 3 days ago, I screwed up a project because I tried to work with tolerances that were too tight. It's just, you have to know where you can be tight and where you can be loose. Measuring carefully is the way you do that. Number 9, make things for other people. I can't even describe to you how much pleasure I get when I make something and then I give it to somebody else. And they get a story. They get the thing that I've made. They get the fruit of a couple of hours of my time and concentration. And they get to possess it. It does make you vulnerable when you give your stuff away. You should recognize that. Giving your stuff away does actually place you in a slightly vulnerable position, but it is also a really magical one. So occasionally when you're making stuff, give it away. Give it to other people. Number 10. Now if I could go back in a time machine and tell my young self one thing about making that I really wished I'd known at the beginning, I would have saved a lot of money, time, and hurt bent fingers. The last commandment. Use more cooling fluid. Yes, cold metal cuts much better than hot metal. Those are my 10 commandments of making food. I love Maker Faire. I'll see you guys next year.
Oh, jeez. wait, go here. So here's the summary of all these things, and I think the message there is very relevant to what you guys are doing in your teams. In fact, I mean, it's very close. So this is really meaningful. And when he talks about failure, you know, you're going to be experiencing that too in your early prototypes, but it's going to get better and better, and you're going to have a functional prototype at the end. So a week from, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. Sorry, this is a week from Thursday, not the 14th. We're going to go to the Magical Bridge Playground. Today we're going to have Katie Strausser from Exobionics talk to us after the break. So sign in if you haven't done so. Sign up for a spot for your presentation, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Thank you.